Here we are in mid-September, Middle Tennessee. Deep blue skies, cooler weather. What could possibly go wrong? Whoops. Trouble in the evergreen collection. Look at all that brown. They're not evergreen at all. And what's causing that? Aha! It's the Armillaria Armageddon. This time of year, the fruiting bodies, which is only a small fraction of the underground organism that spreads out in a circular shape, show themselves at the surface. And this is a problem that's kind of recurring in my yard, and I'll tell you why. The place where I'm growing all of my conifers and broadleaf evergreens was once a forest that was cleared for building this neighborhood and building on this lot, actually. And I was reading online that forest settings and cleared forest settings with stumps are the most likely place where you're going to have a problem with Armillaria, because there's a lot of underground dead wood for it, and they usually start off in forest settings to begin with, which this was. Here's one growing next to my Berkii red cedar. Juniperus virginiana, this is our native evergreen here in Middle Tennessee. And what may seem like a privacy screen or evergreen collection on the outside is actually turning into more of a non-scientific field trial to see which species can resist the Armillaria and other fungi that are so prevalent around here in this hot, humid climate. Here's a big clump growing right next to some Murray cypress and right next to my Serbian spruce. So I'm definitely going to get the chance to find out if Serbian spruce is resistant at all to Armillaria. And some early results of this experiment are already in. Here we have the Thuja occidentalis. That's the northern white cedar is the common name, native to North America, widely used in horticulture. This particular cultivar is the emerald green arbor vitae, which is extremely common at big box retailers and specialty nurseries too as well. And you can see one half of it is dying right here. I'd have to be pretty naive to think that there's no connection between this dying emerald green arbor vitae and the other brown ones I showed you at the beginning of the video, and this massive blob of yellow mushrooms coming out of the ground. There's got to be a connection, right? But can it be confirmed? Here's another emerald green arbor vitae, and this one has only got one trunk. Usually they're multi-trunked. That's because earlier in the year, for some reason, some of the trunks were dying on this emerald green arbor vitae. And I thought, that's weird. It must be drought damage from last summer. Or who knows what? Maybe a drought this summer, because I didn't water as much this year as last year, because it was so rainy. So I started trimming off the ones that were dying. And I was like, what a mystery. I don't know what it is. But now the mystery has been solved. Aha! Springing forth directly from the trunk of the ailing emerald green arbor vitae is the dreaded Armillaria honey fungus. Actually, I'm glad to see this because the mystery is solved. It is the Armillaria that's destroying the emerald green arbor vitaes. And my efforts to plant Armillaria-resistant trees have not been in vain. But how widespread is this problem? Here's a big clump right next to the Niagara cultivar of emerald green arbor vitae. Two big ones right here. So far they're not showing any signs of problems, but what I have to anticipate is what happens 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 years down the road. If I lose this one, I'm going to need alternate screening in this area. So I have to start planting now to build up multiple layers of screening, so that as one species is wiped out by the Armillaria, a new Armillaria-resistant species will be mature enough to still block that line of sight. So I have like 3 or 4 lines of defense, so to speak, and I have to maximize species diversification so that it can't all be wiped out by one single pathogen. And by the way, Armillaria is not the only thing we're battling here. There are lots of tip blights, probably Phytophthora, root rot as well, Cytospora canker. Yeah, the two tip blights are Phomopsis and Cavatina around here, so that rules out most junipers. And on top of that, whatever I plant needs to be able to withstand 100-degree temperatures in the summer and sub-zero temperatures in the winter, with extreme humidity in the summer. So it's pretty hard to find evergreens that check all of those boxes and are also Armillaria resistant. Here's a little clump growing down here next to my prized Carl Fuchs deodar. It'd be a real shame to lose this incredibly tall, blue-hued true cedar. But I have to be realistic. It could be wiped out. So I have to plant another line of defense further inward. And the species that I'm using for that second and third line of defense, a lot of them are broadleaf evergreens. There's a handful of conifers that are purported to be resistant to Armillaria, but not many. You can see in the background where those two Nigra Thuja occidentalis are. There's the honey fungus, and here in the foreground, the magnolia that I've already started on its way to be replacement. One conifer that is purportedly resistant to the Armillaria is the incense cedar. And here we have a fantastic example of an incense cedar, Caliscedrus decurrens growing. And we're going to get the chance to find out if it really is Armillaria resistant, because right at the base I have this huge clump of Armillaria on this side, and just on the other side there's another one, and another one again. But when it comes to broadleaf evergreens, magnolias and hollies are going to be the main line of defense, with some laurels and myrtles possibly being part of that. Here's a magnolia, Edith Bogue cultivar, and right at the base of that you can see we've got Armillaria there. So we're going to get the chance to find out, can it resist the Armillaria? There's another one over there. There's another one right there. There's the magnolia. Oh, there's another one right there. Totally surrounded. That's what I meant when I said this is kind of a field trial. It's really hard to find information about this on the internet. So, and I don't feel like, paying somebody money to come take a look at it, because I'm cheap like that. I'll just try it and see what happens, form my own opinion. And even if someone did give me an opinion, maybe I wouldn't even believe him until I tried it for myself, so might as well just try it. Something is bothering this magnolia though. The leaves are a little off color. We'll find out. See how that one is kind of a mottled yellowish green compared to the normal dark green? Unexplained phenomena. The other thing about the limited online information about Armillaria and resistant species is that the few resources available are often contradictory. This big clump right here is growing underneath a regular old Leland cypress. And some sources say that Leland cypress is resistant to Armillaria, but others say that there are no resistant genus or genera except for Larix and Betula, which are larches and birches. I guess we'll find out. Let's see how good the video quality is on this Samsung. This is a normal Thuja Green Giant, and this one is off color a little bit. Can you tell the difference between them? Contrasting. Off color in the foreground, standard color in the background. To me it's obvious. This one's gone a little yellow. And I think the reason is the Armillaria, because right next to it, here's another tree in the same genus, Thuja, that's being wiped out by the Armillaria. Interestingly, in between them is the Black Hill spruce, Picea glauca. Some online sources say that spruces and pines and true firs are resistant. Douglas fir, notably, is most susceptible. I only have one of those. But other sources say there's been problems in Christmas tree plantations with things like Black Hill spruce being destroyed by Armillaria, which this is one right here. And so it may be a delayed impact, take a few years for it to really destroy the tree. But what's the end game of this whole scenario? What if it turns out none of the evergreens are Armillaria resistant? Is my whole project doomed to be a fungus wasteland? Maybe. But it would take years for that to happen. And I'm not sure what I would put in its place. Maybe bamboo or something. Nothing can kill bamboo. For now, we'll just enjoy the experiment. Keep trying to plant these resistant species and see if they hold out. There's my Nellie Stevens holly I just purchased at Lowe's. Pretty big specimen. I think that was only $120. But I needed something big to replace this gaping hole that's been opened up by the fungus. Normally I try to plant small and let them grow to fill the space. But I just couldn't let this massive hole go unfilled. Nellie Stevens is a pretty good holly. You can find them anywhere. And they did survive the -4 last year. So that's one possible solution if you're also facing Armillaria. September, October, when the fruiting bodies come to the surface, is when you have your best chance to diagnose the problem and solve the mystery of what's been killing things all summer long.